Joseph, this is the Global Digest think tank group. We are doing public advocacy to around the world, especially for vulnerable people and underprivileged people. They can, share opinion and discuss different problems around the world. And then we advocate our activity to the global community. So I saw you on your profile. You are working in Northeast Syria about food security. I don't know you are from Syria or you are from Lebanon or so. Before you start, you can introduce yourself to our audience. Where are you now and what are you doing? Yes, please, Joseph.
Okay, thank you so much, Josh, for this opportunity. So yes, I'm Joseph Shalhoub. I'm Lebanese, but I work for Northeast Syria. So I'm usually based in Hasaka city, if you know it. It's a beautiful city, unfortunately affected by years of war, years of ISIS, and years of destruction. But yes, I'm usually based there.
I see. So you work on mainly food security issue or supplying food, or what is detail about your activity?
Of course, I'm the Food Security and Livelihoods Working Group Coordinator in Northeast Syria. In the absence of a formal cluster mechanism, working groups take on the role of coordination. And within my scope, it is the food security interventions and livelihoods interventions. Food security interventions, of course, include food assistance, both as in-kind, cash, and vouchers, but also in terms of local food production and supply chains.
It's part of USA or what is your organization?
I'm hosted by IMAP, but a lot of our members in the working group are funded by USAID and BHA, for example, the Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance.
It's mean international donor gathering together and supply.
Exactly.
What is the most food crisis? What's the food crisis problem in northern Syria? What kind of problem can you explain to our audience?
Where to start? So Northeast Syria, before the Syrian crisis of 2011, used to be the breadbasket of Syria. It included most of the wheat production, rice production of Syria. But after the crisis started, and for the past 12 years, Northeast Syria has been heavily impacted by a myriad of challenges, including the conflict itself. As you know, Northeast Syria had ISIS. They were only defeated a couple of years ago. They also have the Turkish attacks. And Turkish attacks are regular on their borders. And you also have the degradation of infrastructure because of the lack of investment in infrastructure and in productive economic activities. Add to it the global climate change issue that's heavily impacting Northeast Syria, from extreme weather conditions, drought-like conditions, deforestation, as well as soil degradation. But most importantly, the wheat seed quality in Northeast Syria. As you know, you need the support of ICARDA or international organizations like FAO to sustain the seed quality of different varieties of wheat. And in their absence, unfortunately, we do not have a substitute system or actor to do so. And every year, wheat seeds are less and less of quality. Farmers use outdated agricultural practices because Northeast Syria is a semi-closed location. You do not have formal borders with any country, and you have a blockage of supply chains from Northeast Syria to the government-held locations of Syria and vice versa. So you can consider it a semi-closed system that does not have access to regional and international markets for, let's say, good quality pesticides, good quality fertilizers, equipment, etc. and access to energy. The fuel is becoming more and more expensive, and accessing alternative energy like solar panels, going back to the point on supply chain, is not something easy to do. So unfortunately, it's not one main challenge facing Northeast Syria. It's all of them combined. You have political, economic, you have the global inflation, you have Ukraine and its impact on availability of wheat seeds, you have climate
Right,
change,
right.
and yeah. So where to start, unfortunately?
Yeah, so you are doing great job, in the crisis of Syria. I think Lebanese are very good for helping hand to the Syrian
Yeah,
victim. So it's mean, as you explained, the crop are damaging, and they are not reproducing as used to be. It used to be very
yeah.
good food production in North Syria. Uh, do you think all this uh, reproduction will decline, and their quality are decline? Everything are damaging. The food are damaging in northern Syria due to the war. Is basically is right.
One of the reasons is the war itself, through direct hostilities and direct shelling. So a lot of, let's say, irrigation canals, a lot of dams and water pumping stations, a lot of agricultural lands were directly affected by the war, contaminated with mines, for example, or lost access to because of the routes and infrastructure that allowed farmers to access these lands were destroyed. But the secondary impact of war, which is long-term social and economic degradation of all activities, is actually what's impacting Northeast Syria the most.
Right. So, how do you see who is the main group controlling Northeast Syria? Is Syrian, current uh, Syrian Assad government, or IS, or Kurdish, or who is controlling in Northeast Syria?
Fortunately for everyone, ISIS is no longer controlling any territory.
In
You still
the
have
whole
sleeper
Syria?
cells. Yes.
I see.
And in Iraq, ISIS no longer holds any territory,
In
which is
Syria.
fortunate for everyone. Yes, in Syria. But Northeast Syria is controlled by the Syrian Democratic Forces or the Autonomous Administration of Northeast Syria.
That is an opposition group, or they
No,
are
they-
supported by international society.
they're not necessarily an opposition group. They're, let's say, a semi-independent state. They do not hold, let's say, hostilities with the government of Syria
I see.
and its forces, but
But neither
they
they
hold
connect
us,
with the
yeah,
the Assad government.
no,
So they a kind of autonomous, independent
semi-autonomous, yes, yes,
government, something like that. I see.
yeah,
So they are the main control in Northeast Syria, right? Democratic
yeah. Syrian
forces.
Democratic Forces, yes.
And what about the other group? Is there any group else?
No, as I said, ISIS, you still have a lot of sleeper cells, but you have the international coalition led by the Americans that's actually combating ISIS, combating its sleeper cells, of course, supported by the SDF, Syrian Democratic Forces, and supported by other national and international actors. So besides SDF, it's the only governmental body at the moment taking control of Northeast Syria.
So the SDF, they are more aligned with the US-led coalition, or is more closer to the Lebanese, or closer to the Turkey or Israel, or how is their position? Can you elaborate?
So given they are at the northern border of Syria, they are close to Turkey, but unfortunately, At the moment, the relationships with Turkey are not very stable. They have nothing to do with Lebanon or Israel. As I said, they are self-autonomous. And you also have Russian troops, you have Syrian troops, you have American troops, you have Turkish troops. So all kinds of troops
Inside
are there.
Northeast Syria.
Some of them are inside, some of them patrol the border of it.
I see.
Yeah.
So which means SDF is a good relationship with all these group in Northeast
They
Syria.
try to. Yes, they try to.
Do you think they are going to unite that with Assad's government, or it will be not happen?
I mean, that's a political question. So
Right.
as a
If you have
humanitarian,
idea, you can share it.
yes,
Otherwise, you don't need
no,
to.
yeah, no idea, to be honest, because as a humanitarians, we do not worry a lot
Right.
about diplomatic
Right.
decisions unless they impact us and our humanitarian work directly.
Yeah, because for a long time, depend on their behavior, their political behavior, the
Yeah.
humanitarian work or any economic or social activity, we can work inside Northeast Syria for Northeast Syrian people. Otherwise, if we cannot foresee the future of political climates in the Northeast Syria, nobody will willing to get in and involve any, including humanitarian assistance for those people. That's why we need to foresee if SDF is very clear democratic norm and standard. I guess international society will be willing to cooperate with them and supporting with them. But I don't know stability. Do you think anytime Assad regime can control back North Syria or attack and kick them out, SDF, from the region? If it's likely happen, it will be very critical, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a political question, but what I can tell you is Northeast Syria has a good example of cross-line humanitarian activities. A lot of organizations based in Damascus actually have approvals to deliver assistance in Northeast Syria as well, like approved by the Assad regime and approved by SDF. So that's a good example on how political and armed control of a location does not necessarily dictate humanitarian's limitations. So we have a lot of UN agencies crossing line from Damascus to actually give aid in Northeast Syria in a safe and timely manner. And you have humanitarian agencies based in Northeast Syria that also do it. So what I can tell you is acknowledging it is a political question and without answering it directly, the humanitarian dynamics in Northeast Syria allow for flexibility regardless of political changes, which is a priority, to be honest, to continue to support the affected populations independently from any political decision.
I see. So when you enter to the Northeast Syria, you get permission from SDF, or you get permission from US troop or Turkey troop, or how did you have to get those processes?
No, it's not the troops, it's not military-based approval. It is only logistical and administrative. We have no relationship with any armed forces.
But I mean, any territory, once you enter, you need acknowledgement or permission from those the group who control the area, you know. So when you go to North Syria, you get permission, or you have to negotiate with some group. You don't do anything.
No.
You just go.
It's not,
you just go freely to northern Syria, and you just
you have to get
help humanitarian.
Yeah, you have to get administrative approval.
From which group? That is SDF or from
SDF? Yes.
I see. Which means you get
No, but
approval
not
from
SDF.
SDF.
We call it ANIS, which is the Autonomous Administration. There is an administration, Autonomous Administration of Northeast Syria, AANES.
But that autonomous administration is their arms group is SDF, right?
Yes, yes.
So which
But
means,
we do not get approval from SDF. We get it from the administration,
of course,
which
the
is
administration is different, arms group is different, you know. So the
yeah, exactly.
autonomous administration is control the SDF, or SDF is control autonomous administration, vice
La,
versa.
Again, that's a political question, so
So it means
we have nothing to
basically,
do with it as a humanitarians.
so basically you just get contact and approval from autonomous administration. That's it, right?
Yes,
You
correct.
don't know detail. They are related to SDF or any other arms group. Maybe you don't know much
It's
detail. Yeah.
yeah, it's not our
But
job as a humanitarians to worry
sure,
about it.
sure. That autonomous administration is not necessarily uh, control from Assad government, right?
No, they hold relationships with Assad government, but not control.
I see. I see. Which means they have some kind of still communication between Assad government and autonomous administration,
Yeah,
something like that. So
exactly.
what about your group? You are working humanitarian only in northeast Syria, or you also went to Damascus at Assad regime location? It's possible or not
Syria,
possible?
Syria is divided into hubs. You have Northeast Syria, Northwest Syria, and you have the HCT, which is the Humanitarian Country Team, which is the Damascus hub. Each hub has a separate geographical limitation, like Northwest Syria covers Idlib and part of Aleppo. Northeast Syria covers Hasakeh, part of Deir ez-Zor, part of Raqqa, and part of Aleppo. And the Damascus hub, or HCT, covers a different hub. It is outside of my scope to cover Damascus, for example, or Idlib.
So you cover only northeast Syria.
Yes.
I see. So what about northwest Syria? It's under control of Assad?
No, Northwest Syria is under the control of opposition groups. Some of it is under the control of HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Some of it is under the control of Turkey.
I see. Opposition group control in northwest Syria, and northeast Syria is SDF also opposition, right?
Not necessarily. They call it self-administration. They do not proclaim they are opposing any regime.
Some kind of neutral or something like that.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
So it means Syria is divided into different administration, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
depend on that different administration, the humanitarian aid, the group should also go to the different administration zone, you know.
Exactly.
You have to contact them, you have to negotiate them, and they provide you very good security for all humanitarian aid worker.
Yes, humanitarian aid workers are usually protected. Talking about Northeast Syria, of course, because it's out of my scope to cover other parts of Syria.
Right.
But they are usually protected, yes.
I see. So you go to northeast Syria by land or by airplane, or how can you enter in northeast Syria? I mean, is there airport or international airport or international?
There is no international airport in Northeast Syria, but you can cross either from Damascus or from KRI, Iraq.
I see. But for your case, from Lebanon, you can go directly to northeast Syria, right? You still go to Damascus?
It's a, do you need these details?
No, just I want to
So,
I want
yeah,
to know logistic, you know, because maybe they don't allow any foreign visitor or tourists at the moment.
no. Foreign visitors are welcome as long as you go through the necessary processes.
I see.
Yeah,
So it's mean it's normal war or normal fighting at the moment.
to a certain extent, yes. Yes.
I see. Not the whole area, maybe some remote
Yeah.
area here and there,
Like as I
maybe
said, yeah,
a
you
little
still
bit.
have sleeper, yeah, you still have sleeper ISIS cells. You still have some hostilities with Turkey, but other than that, it's relatively calm.
I see. It means the business can still work, right? People can do
Yes,
business and you
yeah,
can
to a certain
do
extent.
humanitarian aid and many other can do other
Yeah,
activity. I see.
yeah,
So it's quite better than before, you know. Before it was terrible.
mm,
Every day it was bombing
yeah,
and killing.
exactly.
It's terrible. But now it seems very good. As
It's
you,
it's it's getting better in some aspects, in other aspects, it's getting worse.
but it's not guarantee, you know. It might be
Mm,
suddenly it can be fighting anywhere nearby you
mm.
or somewhere. It can still no
No,
guarantee,
yeah,
no guarantee
yeah,
because still there
exactly.
are fighter there. Let's see.
Yeah.
So how many humanitarian aid worker in northern Syria? Is there a lot of international aid worker?
Uh, yeah,
Approximately,
no idea.
they allow all international aid worker or they have a limited,
Mm.
only some people are allowed and some people are not allowed.
Also, no idea. But just to say that my expertise is food security. It's not everything else in terms of access. So I'm not sure if you want the conversation to focus around access. I'm not the right person to talk to.
I see. So it means,
Yeah.
I guess, the assessing inside Syria is some not that easy, I guess, because
Mm.
it may need to know a lot of information and a lot of procedure
Yeah.
and many
Yeah.
steps. So assessing issue is different. So we can
Exactly.
only talk about food, So
Yeah.
uh, not in Syria. So most agriculture production, most farmer, they still doing some farming, but not that much as
Yeah.
before. You are saying like that?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Most of the farming lands in northeast Syria relied on rainfall. But given the climate change and the changes and the reduction in the rainfall averages for the past 3 years, a lot of the farming was impacted by it. So instead of the most of the agriculture production being tied to rainfall, now it's tied to irrigated lands, which means only a small portion of farming lands in northeast Syria.
What are the most product uh, agriculture food in Northeast Syria? Rice, is there any rice or maybe wheat, maybe
The
grapes?
most, uh, the most important one is wheat, followed by barley for fodder production and livestock, rice to a certain extent, cotton, but rice and cotton have reduced drastically in recent years. And you also have vegetable production, uh, trees and fruits, not so much. They exist in a couple of locations, but it's mostly wheat, barley, and yeah, as a priority.
It's similar to Lebanon because it's
Yeah,
same climate and same geographical. Is right?
it's different
Uh,
from Lebanon.
what are
Uh,
Lebanon different and because you are
Lebanon,
neighbor
you have,
country, right?
yeah, Lebanon has different agricultural zones, environments, and soil than northeast Syria in a lot of locations. But also, Lebanon you have the Bekaa Valley, for example, that can be similar to Syria, but you have the coastal line of Lebanon that's very different from northeast Syria. It's more humid, while northeast Syria does not have any coast or any border with any body of water, for example. You have more mountains in Lebanon. You do not have a lot of mountains in northeast Syria. It's mostly a desert.
I see. So, by the
But some
way,
of the crops are the same. Yeah.
you just saying about Ukraine crisis also affect for humanitarian aid, because your humanitarian aid, you have to get food from Ukraine or anywhere else. Mainly from where did you get the resources of food to supply Syrian?
Yeah. So the impact of Ukraine was actually on the global inflation and global availability of different inputs, either the seeds themselves, but also the agriculture inputs such as pesticides and fertilizers. At a global level, availability, price, and quality, which naturally impacted mostly all countries around the world.
Right.